Okay.
All right, thank you. All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here. It is exactly 7 p.m. on Tuesday, March 22nd, 2022. And I now call to order the 2094th regular meeting of the City of College Place City Council. Will the clerk please take roll call?
Yes. Councilmember Jessup.
Present.
Councilmember Cleveland.
Present.
Councilmember Peterson.
Present.
Councilmember Espinosa. I don't see. Councilmember Williams.
Present.
Councilmember Sherman.
Present.
Councilmember Boyle.
Present.
Okay. We also have City Administrator Rizzatello, City Attorney Bree Colwell, Deputy Finance Director Deshree Schmick, Public Works Director Robert McAndrews, Deputy City Clerk Sherry St. Clair, and myself, City Clerk Lisa Neisel. Mayor Norma Hernandez is presiding, and we do have a quorum.
Great, thank you. And I do all want to let you know that my dogs were just greeting one of our officers who was in front of my house. All right, will you all please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. It is now time for the public comment. Did anyone submit a comment, or would anyone in attendance like to speak?
No one submitted a comment. We do not currently have any Zoom attendees. So we
Okay,
can move on.
let's move on to the consent agenda, which consists of the agenda for tonight, March 22nd, 2022, the council minutes from March 8th, 2022. It's a short consent agenda. Are there any items anyone from the council would like removed from the consent agenda? All right, hearing none, is there a motion?
I move to approve the consent agenda. Councilmember Williams.
Do we have a second?
Second, Peterson.
Thank you. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the ayes have it and the motion is passed. Next, there are no presentations for tonight. And we do not have any public hearings scheduled, so we're going to move on to the action items. The first action item is resolution approving the Meadowbrook traffic delineation and signage at Southern Walmart interests. And Mr. McAndrews, you're up.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Yeah, this is just the same thing I talked about a month ago at the, I think, February 22nd meeting. So we're proposing putting in some tubular markers or delineators, if you will, along Meadowbrook to prevent northbound traffic from being able to turn illegally, which happens quite a bit, into that Walmart entrance. So currently folks are heading kind of northwest, and they're, even though it's signed and that island's shaped the way it is, they're making that left turn across traffic, and we've had some accidents, and it's kind of created a safety issue. So we're proposing putting tubular markers across there, adding some additional signage and some pavement markings to help folks understand that they need to continue north up to the signalized intersection a block ahead. So same thing I presented on before. This is just, last time it was an informational report or informational, yeah. And so now I'm asking for action. Any questions?
All right, thank you. Let's go for the council members for any questions. Councilmember Jessup?
No, but thank you. I just want to make note also to thank you again. I think you said you're recycling or reusing some of your old markers and so on and so forth. So reusing that and being efficient that way. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Cleveland,
No questions. Thank you.
Mr. Peterson,
No questions. Thank you.
Ms. Williams,
No questions. Thank you.
Ms. Sherman,
No questions. I'm just still so excited about this. I've only been asking for it for years, so thank you.
No problem.
Ms. Boyle,
No questions. And I echo Councilmember Sherman's thing. I have come way too close to waiting for someone who's trying to turn and gotten people behind me that have just about rear-ended me too many times. I think that this is well beyond its time.
and it amazes me the effort people put to turn into that, that way. It's like if they waited 6 more seconds forward, they would have already been in the parking lot. They act like they're on the Flintstones car, they're using their own feet to get there. I just don't get it. So it sounds like everybody has no questions, or we're all excited. So is there a motion on this resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 22-027, which authorizes the installation of tubular markers, street signs, and pavement markings on Southeast Meadowbrook Street at South Walmart entrance.
Councilmember Boyle, I will second.
Great. Any additional discussion? All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, it's unanimous. The ayes have it, and the motion is passed. Next is the resolution approving the community grant program, and Mr. Rizzatello is going to present on that.
Hey, thank you. So community grant program that was created about 2 years ago, around when COVID started, and this idea was borrowed from the other city of Ellensburg. It's to further innovation and then also community connection. So any sort of community organization or any organization that basically provides services in the community can turn in an application into this program to essentially help out residents or help out a project. This was funded to go back sometime, first year this program was funded. The 5,000 went to the Cepheid machine, which allowed for the earlier COVID testing, and the poor in both cities ponied up to get that with Providence, and this program fully went to that first year. 2021 money was tight. So at that juncture, so this was zeroed out. This year, 5,000 in essence was allocated into this program. We promoted it through social media and the website. We received 4 proposals. Per the rules put around this a couple of years ago. Basically, the Economic Development Commission and then the Park Arbor and Recreation Board, they review proposals and then rank them and then figure out essentially where to delineate the money. So the decision between the two advisory groups was to give the 4 organizations that petitioned for funds money, although not at the level they were requesting, but still trying to basically share wealth, if you will. So where the money is recommended to go is as follows. Blue Mountain Action Council, $2,500. Walla University, the Enactus organization, $1,000. Walla Valley Academy, $1,000, and then the Center for Humanitarian Engagement at the university, $500. So the applications are attached. That's the recommendation of both of the advisory bodies. However, it is your decision, and this was introduced the previous council meeting.
All right, thank you, Mike. Let's go through council members for questions or comments or any additional recommendations. Councilmember Jessup,
Not at the moment, but thank you very much for those who worked on this.
Councilmember Cleveland,
No questions.
Councilmember Peterson,
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Williams?
Questions. I'm glad to see that we have a variety of people interested in getting this money.
Councilmember Sherman?
No questions, thanks.
Councilmember Boyle?
No questions.
All right, if there's no further discussion, we have a motion on this resolution. Oh, Councilmember Peterson.
Oh, no, I would just move to adopt resolution number 22-028, which allocates the fiscal year 2022 community grant program funding.
Second, Councilmember Cleveland.
Perfect. We have a first and a second. Any additional discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, the ayes have it and the motion is passed. Next item is the resolution approving the request for additional loan funds from the Public Works Board for the Mountain View Waterline Project. And Mr. McAndrews, you're back up.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. This is another somewhat of a follow-up from last February, or from February 22nd's meeting, where I presented about awarding the Mountain View Drive project. And as you may remember then, the bids came in quite a bit over what our engineer's estimate was and what we were expecting. Fortunately, we had set some money aside just in case that happened. And so you guys voted to go ahead and award the bid. But that being said, I had already at that point started conversations with the State Public Works Board, who had issued the low interest loan for the we were planning to spend on that project. And they had indicated there's a reserve fund and that there may be additional money available, loan money available to make up the difference. And so since then, the representative from the Public Works Board that I've been talking to has had conversations with the committee that makes recommendations to the Public Works Board. And they've indicated that as long as we have council support for requesting that additional loan money, that they would recommend to the board that they issue that loan. Mike, it looks like you have a question.
Yeah. Well, I just want to make an addition to your statement. So while we do have some money set aside with the American Rescue Plan Act funds and some in the water utility, the big issue of is should we need the additional gap financing as we get deeper into this project. I don't know if you've been following the legislature as of late, but to fund that West Side centric transportation package, once again, the state legislature has decided to start sweeping the Public Works Board Trust Fund. So the reason it's key that we're urging acceptance of this is because we don't have to use it, but it's just it basically reserves our place. Whereas if we don't do this with those sweeps, if we end up in a pickle, it's going to be a lot harder as the year progresses. So that's why we're recommending we still that you all pass this resolution, because then it's reserved for our use and we're basically absolved from all that sweeping that's going to happen. I will also mention it was a good thing we put in for those trust fund applications when we did, because the sweepings that were voted on by the legislature, those are for the next 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. So yeah, you make a really good point there. So I guess at this point, we're asking for or recommending that you guys make a motion to support us asking for this loan. And then the Public Works Board is going to take it to a vote, if I understand, on April 1st.
All right, thank you. Let's go to council, Mr. Jessup.
No questions at the moment, but thank you.
Mr. Cleveland,
No questions, thanks.
Mr. Peterson,
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Williams,
No questions. Thank you.
Ms. Sherman,
No questions, thanks.
Ms. Boyle.
No questions. Thank you.
All right. If there's no further discussion, do we have a motion on this resolution?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 22-029, which approves the request for additional loan funds in the amount of $225,000 from the Public Works Board for the Mountain View Water Line Project.
Second, Councilmember Williams.
All right. Any additional discussion? All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? All right. The ayes have it and the motion is passed. Next item is a resolution approving the execution of a professional service agreement with RH2 Engineering to provide water rights change support for well number 7. And Mr. McAndrew is here still up.
Yeah, so this one, another Public Works Board loan that we got was for the well, to add another additional well. And the plan was to add it down in the Stone Creek area near where we just put lift station 7, or sewer lift station. And on that same, I believe it's 5 acres that we purchased a while ago. The thing is that property was purchased after the last time our water rights were adjusted. So that piece of property we don't currently have water rights on it. So as part of our process for going through and finding an engineer to help support this, RH2 put together the proposal to help us adjust our water rights, and so that we have rights of withdrawal on that piece of property. Without the rights of withdrawal, we can't drill the well. And so their proposal was just under $20,000. And I think it's money well spent. So I guess any questions?
All right, Mr. Jessup.
No, but if I understand correctly, this is absolutely vital. And so thank you for getting on this and so quickly and working through this process for the city.
No problem.
Mr. Cleveland.
No questions. Thanks for your hard work.
Mr. Peterson.
Robert, I'm sorry. Can you explain that again to me?
Yeah.
We don't have water rights, but this process, I'm sorry.
So before I started with the city, I'm honestly not entirely sure the date, but the city had gone through and adjusted our water rights boundaries to include essentially all of our property within the city. Since then, we bought this 5-acre piece of land down on Stone Creek, and we put in our lift station 7. That was outside of the city before. It was also outside of where our water rights boundaries were. So in order to extend our water rights out to there, we have to go through a process with the Department of Health and the water master and all the folks that are in charge of that. And RH2 is really good with this. They're experts in this field, and they have put together a proposal and an agreement to help us work through this. They don't think there's going to be any concern about it. It's just a process, all the paperwork, talking to all the right folks and making all the adjustments. So
okay, thank you. More of a process than anything else.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Ms. Williams.
Just to make sure I have it straight in my own mind. So in this case, we are not purchasing new water rights. We are just extending the area where we can drill for water to use the water rights we already have.
That is my understanding. Yes, RH2 is the experts in that, and it sounds like they can do a boundary adjustment of some sort. I haven't been through this process before, so I honestly can't speak to all the details of it. But from speaking with them, it sounds like they can do some sort of an adjustment, which includes that piece of property in what our water right already is.
Thank you.
Yep.
Ms. Sherman.
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Boyle.
No questions. Thanks.
All right, if there's no further discussion, do we have a motion on this resolution?
Councilmember Jessup, I'll take a motion to approve resolution number 22030, which authorizes the city administrator to sign a professional services agreement with RH2 Engineering to provide water rights change support for well 7.
I'll second.
Great, we have a first and second. Any additional discussions? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the ayes have it and the motion is passed. Next, let me see, I want to make sure I'm not confusing these. Okay. Next is the resolution for approving the execution of professional services agreement. Am I reading this right? Yes. Okay, that's
Yeah.
support. Okay, with RH2 Engineering for well number 7 drilling and design.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, sorry for the confusion. There's kind of two parts to this. So we put out a formal request for qualifications to find an engineer to help us with the drilling and design for that same well 7. RH2 was the engineer, actually the only engineer that submitted. They're also very, very qualified in this. They've worked with us on well 4 and well 6 and our water system plan and our emergency response plan for the water system, and know our infrastructure very well and know the city's water needs. So anyway, their proposal is I guess, so what I'm asking for is approval to authorize city administrator to sign professional services agreement for them to do the engineering and help us get through the drilling of this well. So once they sort out the water rights, then they will finish the engineering and get the well drilled.
All right, Mr. Jessup, questions or comments?
At the moment, thank you again.
Mr. Cleveland?
Just a point of clarification. They're doing the drilling, or are they just doing engineering design work?
They'll do the engineering and design and manage essentially the construction management for the drilling. So they'll project manage the drilling. So they'll help us go out to bid, find who's going to drill, and then manage that process for us.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
Mr. Peterson?
Well, I mean, the obvious question here is this is contingent upon the previous motion, correct?
It is, should we not get the water rights for some reason, we still have the need for the well. So at that point, what we would have to do is reassess where we're planned to put the well. And so we would still need this engineering, we'd still need the well drilled. We would just have to essentially find a different location for it. That falls within property we have water rights on.
Okay.
So withdrawal.
So the obviously is not contingent upon a certain geolocation. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Ms. Williams?
No question.
Ms. Sherman?
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Boyle?
No questions. Thanks.
All right, if there's no further discussion, is there a motion?
Councilmember Peterson, motion to approve resolution number 22-031, which authorizes city administrator to sign professional services agreement with RH2 engineers for $565,000.
I'll second the motion. Councilmember Boyle.
Great, first and a second, is there any additional discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Right, the ayes have it and the motion is passed. All right, Robert, you're still going to be up, so we're going to talk about the approval for reimbursable work agreement with Walla Walla County Public Works for performing the 2022 chip sealing.
Yes, thank you. So as most of you probably know, Walla Walla County has a pretty proficient chip seal program, and City of College Place for years has worked with them and contracted with Walla Walla County to come in and chip seal some roads as a means of an affordable means of preservation. So that being said, in our capital facilities plan, we planned for chip seal this year. We budgeted $60,000, and I've been working with the county and narrowed down the streets to include Bliss Lane, Southeast Freedom Place, Southeast Colonial Drive, Southeast Independence Drive, Southeast Liberty Way, Southeast Justice Avenue, and Southeast Constitution. So essentially Bliss and then the Knapp addition. All roads that need chip seal, they're in decent shape, but chip seal is going to preserve them and prolong the life. So working with the county, they provide an estimate. It's not a guaranteed price. They tend to estimate conservatively because they don't want to have any surprises. And so historically, the price they've given and has been high compared to what the actual costs come in at, and they bill for actual. So this year we've elected to use the county's spec'd out and previously bidded chip rock. It's a high quality rock, and it will provide a good road surface. And so the county's given an estimate of $53,546.58. And so we're looking for a motion to support the reimbursable work agreement with them to have them conduct that work for us.
All right, thank you. Mr. Jessup, any questions or comments?
This is actually just a question purely based on my ignorance of being new, I think. How do you guys come to the process or understanding that these are the roads in which you choose to chip seal versus any of the other roads that we have all around?
Yeah, so there's been previously, before my time, there was kind of a list of roads that needed it, and there's been some pavement ratings. And so my predecessor had kind of laid out groupings of roads. We had hoped to include more roads. We were hoping to include the Harvest Meadows area as well, but in all reality, the roads in there are in really good shape and don't really need it. And our initial estimate from the county was significantly higher, so we had to scale it back to fall within our budget. And so we essentially were initially trying to hit everything on that side of the highway, with the exception of Tamarson. So but yeah, it's kind of laid out in our 6-year plan what our goals are for each of the next 6 years in our capital facilities plan. And that kind of morphs every year because we look at, road conditions and what the actual needs are, and if there's any projects coming up that might touch some of those roads. But yeah, so does that kind of answer your question?
That's perfect. Now I'm going to read a little bit more carefully as well. Thanks.
Yeah.
Mr. Cleveland?
No questions. Thanks for extending the life of our roads.
No problem.
Mr. Peterson?
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Williams?
I'm sorry, I thought I was unmuted. No questions.
Ms. Sherman?
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Boyle?
No questions.
All right, if there's no further discussion, do we have a motion on this work agreement?
I'll motion to approve the execution of a reimbursable work agreement with Walla Walla County Public Works for performing the 2022 chip sealing.
Do we have a second?
Second, Councilmember Williams.
All right. Any additional discussion? All right, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, the ayes have it and the motion is passed. Let's keep moving on then. We do not have any administrative reports. There is one informational report for you to review that's in your packet. We do not have an executive session. So here I am. Is there any other business for good of the order?
Councilmember Peterson, just a minute.
Yes.
You know, this is a discussion I think we've had in the past, and this is maybe for Mike and for Robert. I have noticed, and I've had some comments too, and it could be our imaginations, but crossing 4th Street heading west across College Avenue, there continues to be this issue with when you're heading forth, the light goes green to head towards the College Church, WABA, and cars go across in front of you on College Avenue. And I got to tell you, I have observed this maybe 4 or 5 times in the last week. There's one of two things going on. One, people are just driving through red lights, or there's a light issue. And this has been brought to my attention by other individuals also. So hopefully this isn't just my imagination, but it's at a point where the light turns green. 1 second goes by, you go to proceed, and then cars drive through. It's hard to imagine that there's a light malfunction, although there could be. But it's happening with a lot of frequency. And so I just want to bring that to Mike and Robert's attention. And I know that's a state calibration, perhaps, Mike?
Yeah, so we have a contract with the State Department of Transportation to go calibrate the lights because you need a certification to do that. So we can contact them. That's actually the first in recent times I've heard of an issue with 4th. There have been some issues over on 12th that we've worked on, but we can let them know to look at it.
You know, and I'm not trying to overreact, but it gets to a point of almost what's the word, absurdity, where once again the light turns green, you go to proceed, and then and it's random individuals. It's not, you know, and they blow right in front of you, and so it would be nice to disregard the fact that we have a malfunctioning light, I guess, and then try to enforce that. But it's, I think, perhaps a safety issue and other things. So anyway, my 2 cents there, Mike.
Okay.
I'd be happy to reach out to my representative at the state and ask him to send somebody out to take a look at it, because if that's happening, we want to get that resolved for sure.
Yeah, it's several times a week. Anyway, thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else? All right, if there's nothing, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Councilmember Williams.
Is there a second?
Councilmember Boyle.
All right, I think this is one of the shortest meetings we've had probably in a year and a half. If there's no objections, our meeting is adjourned at 7:32 p.m. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thanks.